Right, we're back. So, I have to some degree started to transition to iron construction. There we go, that's much better. Big images are cool and all, but I'd much rather like this. Yeah. Iron frame buildings, which will be much more helpful. I can't really complete that until, well, I get the atmospheric engine, which will happen, but for right now, yeah. I think I'll set it up like this, and not this. Okay. Especially considering I'm constantly promoting new customs in order to get social influence the dialectic up. And regardless of what I do, it's going to be 1k. For now, anyway. At least until social influence starts coming up. I would prefer that the Westernizers become more powerful, but that's unlikely to happen anytime soon. Unless this guy finally kicks the bucket, or retires. He's 58 after all. It is annoying that these factions that don't have anything to do with it are that important. Either way, let the debate continue. Additionally, well, France and the UK are pretty aggressive towards me lately. Germany is protective, and so is Russia. In fact, Russia, I've signed an agreement with them. They do get investment rights and a power block embassy, but they're guaranteeing my independence. So, ensuring that I am safe, at least for the time being. Though for the moment, Russia hasn't actually constructed anything. Which is mildly annoying, but I can live with it. Additionally, the liberal movement is massive right now. Which is why I'm getting oligarchy enacted. Which is a little difficult because I don't have the ability to sway the aristocrats at the moment. And it's close. Very close. That close, yeah. Also, the first international has happened, and the second international is approaching rapidly. And I mean rapidly. However, there was a revolt that happened, so I'm not actually sure. Okay, so they still have the old stats. The revolutionist and reformist socialists. Yeah, because they would not be radical Democrat, that's for sure. Or popular militarist. I think some countries advanced enough to have I would have expected Great Britain to have human rights research by now. When I get in, it is only 68, so. I definitely need to get that set up sooner, though. I'm not sure if do I produce common ores locally? No, okay. Something to build up. It is great that the aristocratic interests are falling apart, though. They used to have twice as much clout. Now it's only 43.4%. Only. Yeah, the fact that this is good, it just indicates how bad things are. But the Westernizers are... the moderate Westernizers are fairly powerful, considering the fact that I'm at 100% political rigidity, which favors institutional interests far over ideological interests. Could in theory go for Supreme Legislature, but that's for later. Or, well, I'm not sure if it's even possible, considering that most of this won't work. Because the Caliph has to accept it. And the movement needs to be very, very powerful for that to happen. Let's pull back a bit more. You started going the other way with the demographic stage? It'll be good to transition to early industrial, because we'll get more. I wonder if we're actually going to get a proper modernization mode? Maybe. What's the difference anyway? Speech. Okay. The liberal movement does not care about slavery, bureaucracy, land reform, centralization. But the liberal movement does care about free speech and legislative power, so I'm going to stick with the liberal movement specifically for a while, so I can get that done. And here's the second information. It is generally acknowledged among socialists that the interests of the working class transcend national borders. Well, that doesn't last for the duration of the game. Since the end of the International Workingmen's Association, however, no serious attempts have been made at founding a new international coalition. To remedy this, delegates from various workers' organizations met today in Switzerland, where it has been decided that a new socialist manifesto should be drafted as the founding document of a second international. The proletariat of the old world and the new, a spirit of concord prevails. Among the suffering and the oppressed, there is increasing hatred of their exploiters, increasing distrust of their capitalist oppressors. Do you not feel, brothers, that this is the decisive hour? The Brussels Congress, 1880. I'll probably stick with the historical outcome every time anyway. I don't see much of a reason not to. As the socialists grow in power, actually I don't think I have any socialists, or at least not very many. They're in here somewhere. Population 370 people. Well, as the old joke goes, two communists walk into a bar, and once they leave, there are three new parties. As the socialists grow in power, the various doctrinal and tactical disagreements among them grow ever heated. These differences have finally come to a head in a recent quarrel, with one side forcibly expelling their opponents from the meeting hall. Two distinct factions emerged, the reformists and the revolutionists. This is the nucleus of the question which causes all the differences. Is the antagonism between the middle class and the proletariat so great as to prevent the proletariat from allying itself with certain factions of the middle class against other groups of the middle class? Or are there within the middle class enmities greater than the hostility which exists between the middle class and the working class? Karl Kautsky, 1902. Fed up with the inaction of their former comrades, the radicals of the social democratic movement have begun to call themselves communists. Their moderate cousins, meanwhile, have abandoned all revolutionary rhetoric while retaining the old label of social democracy. Yeah, this is because there was, for some reason, in 1838, a revolt in the UK that had council republic. So immediately, oh, that's uninitialized. Yeah, the game's a bit broken, thanks to that. How are they colonizing that? Do they somehow have access? Active trees. No way of reaching them because Tibesti is being colonized. Abolitionist. The convening of a second international did not go as planned. Besides being poorly organized, it seems that the socialist movement is shot with divisions. Chief among them, these, is the split between reformists and the revolutionists, who have fallen out over a practical issue. The former insists that only bona fide delegates should be able to attend, while the latter argue that only anonymity can ensure the safety of all participants. Unable to compromise, both camps have begun organizing separate conventions. The Congress assembled. Never in the whole history of the working class movement has a workingmen's Congress met under such humiliating conditions. Edward Bernstein, 1889. I definitely need to be careful because of the aristocratic interests and their unhappiness. I can handle negotiating a tax break temporarily. Okay, now that's increasing. Start setting up the tech base for the industry. Admittedly, I think society tech research speed is now slower thanks to the... perhaps not. Maybe that bit's a bit broken, but... yeah. Tech should get faster and faster. Leading the reformists are the French possibilists and the British Trade Congress. Rejecting the hardline rhetoric of what they call the Marxist clique, the possibilists choose to prioritize achieving what is currently possible, incremental reforms, on the path toward attaining socialism in general. The Possibilist Congress has resolved to push for, among other things, the 8-hour workday and workplace democracy. Never really achieved the latter, did it? That this International Labour Congress declares that its resolutions in favor of a reduction of the hours of labor, the limitation of child labor, and kindred measures are not to be considered as expressing its full program of industrial reform, but that those measures are demanded to secure the present mitigation of the hardships of labor, and to promote the leisure, education, and organization necessary to secure the ultimate ownership and control of all the means of production by the workers themselves. Why is this one sentence? The Possibilist Congress, 1889. The Marxist International. Oh yeah. Their assistance, the liberal movement's going to become ridiculous. Opposing the reformists are the revolutionists, united under the banner of Marxist social democracy, along with Blanquists and various other traditions. Broadly, the Marxists see agitation for reforms as a means of building revolutionary class consciousness rather than as an end in itself, prioritizing revolution as the only way to achieve socialism. They often work under illegality, and as such, accuse the possibilists of being officially endorsed ministerial socialists, opposed to the true socialist cause. Let but the 8-hour day alone be realized, and the first step will have been gained in the road to the final emancipation of labor. It will be gained not perhaps so much on account of its intrinsic value, as because of the consciousness of power that it will give to working men when acting internationally. Cunningham Graham, 1889. The reformist and revolutionist congresses have concluded, and their attendees return home to deliver the news of fiery polemics and personal attacks. The actual contents of the congresses were remarkably similar. Both pushed for an 8-hour day, equality of women, were subject to infighting over unity with their wayward comrades. Nonetheless, the schism over means and ends runs deep, and the prospect of mending it seems thin. This Congress brilliantly opens up a new era of the conscious, systematic enforcement of the rights of the oppressed. Planned, unanimous action by the internationalist proletariat and socialism. It is the pledge of certain and decisive victory. Long live the social international republic. The Marxist Congress, 1889. If the Westernizers can get a bit more, that would be good. Some time has passed since the turbulence of the opposed workers' congresses. The personal enmities stoked by the event have calmed, though both sides are once again preparing to convene their own congresses. They have sent delegates to one another in the hopes of joining a united Second International. Yeah, just historical. The two unite, for now. Oh, now they're genial. Of course, the politician, most popular Westernizer politicians, has died. Yep. Nothing new under the sun. I hate having high political rigidity. Makes everything slow. But swapping from autocracy to oligarchy makes it a little bit easier for me to maneuver things around. And definitely increases the amount of political strength the average pop has. Loosening up the autocracy is very, very hard. But it will pass. It will pass. Nothing can stop it at this point in time. Carta has passed colonial frontier colonization. What? Is the military that strong? Yes. 55% con. You must be hemorrhaging money to your military. How big is it? Expanding the media industries? Good. Oh, Austria-Hungary is interested. $21.25. I'm sure classicism will get through early enough, through just random spread. It's 20 per week. I'm doing 67 in dialectics per week. Yeah, it's gonna take like 25 weeks-ish. Oh wait, I just sped up. Because the base quantity is 10 to 30. No. The actual amount is 10 to 30? Check. Yeah. Maybe. Hmm. Sign the bill, reluctantly. That should dramatically adjust the nature of politics. Just give it some time. It's much easier to keep this unstable mess under control. Of course, trying to bring anything else in is going to cause chronic obstructionism or total deadlock. Squabbling legislature. Drop the 11 and bring the military. Yeah. Oh, by the way, there is the fact that movements can influence what specific interest groups believe in, which are represented here. So the business interests are now interested in separation of powers, banning slavery, and modernizing into interventionism. Yeah. However, the bureaucracy and the village interests would prefer to keep slavery. Huh. I can do this regardless of the... no. Okay. No, that's not possible. Not unless I somehow manage to get everyone else here interested, so cancel. Professionalizing the ranks of the military, the rank and file military. Soldiers. Yeah, not happening. We've got a socialist movement. Starting to get labor consciousness? Oh, egalitarianism came in, so... Yeah, it's at 17. Ah, I can't do peasant corvée. Not enough peasants. Yeah, classicalism will finish researching soon. Before I finish researching dialectics. The labor organization is now spreading too. Alright, that unlocks entertainment areas. And instruments. Sadly, I can't exactly do instruments. Well, 100%. Well, fine. I'm sure copper will start getting imported here. Brass artisan instruments. Especially considering I've got a common ore mine here providing me with that. Then, entertainment area? Where is that? There, it's right at the very bottom for some reason. Oh, they added orchestras. Look at this. March to Modernity. As reformism continues to develop in our nation, more and more prominent leaders and thinkers have become seriously interested in developing modern political and economic institutions. The reformist movement can now be divided into two camps, the conservatives and the liberals. The former are more cautious, looking to modernize the state while maintaining a careful oligarchy bolstered by traditional institutions while making concessions to the rising bourgeoisie. While the latter are focused on meritocratic reforms, formalization of constitutionalism, and the empowering of early democratic institutions. The outward circumstances of national wealth and power are not irrevocably fixed by nature's decree. These can be changed by the diligent efforts of men. Today's fools can become tomorrow's sages. The rich and mighty of the past can become the poor and weak today. If we begin to pursue learning with spirit and energy so as to achieve personal independence and thereby enrich and strengthen the nation, why should we fear the powers of the West? Fukuzawa Yokichi, 1872. Let's bring them in. Yep, the reformers are here. They're conservatives, but, well, they're not the aristocrats, and they'll bleed, and aristocrats will bleed over into here with time, so. I might be able to push this through. No, it's not looking particularly likely. Yeah, okay, fine. Unless there's a movement back and get, I don't think I can manage it. Is a Brackle movement set up? Yeah. That next one's good. I prefer Supreme Legislature for separation of powers anyway. I can't even get separation of powers because I don't have voting. Oh, that's an interesting concept. So anarchy goes for Supreme Legislature. Huh? Anyway, time to increase the consumption of goods in my universities. Get 50% more innovation and qualifications. And also twice the business data. Not useful yet. Just wait. Lack of market access is becoming severely problematic. I don't know why I would need romanticism. Let's finish prospecting up and blaze away at getting rails. Because that is becoming a serious problem. The infrastructure. Might be smart to start setting up butchering tools. Quite reasonable. To increase production of meat. More radicals, please. And thank you. You know, I'm just gonna do it over here. It's fairly obvious to me now that it's not particularly avoidable. Not anymore, anyway. Into prospect. No, I'd rather get 5k and promote new customs. No, I just need to be careful not to annoy the conservative insert scoops. Too much. Then things will be and remain fine. I do wonder when the anarchists are going to get involved, though. Since they're a great way to convince the aristocrats to centralize the state. Because right now they're in favor of decentralized state. Yeah, going to Supreme Legislature would actually cause the target rigidity to go below 100 for once. Probably. Maybe. Okay, maybe my media regulation is a bit too high for that, but... everything does in the end. Some faster than others. Socialist movement isn't big enough for any real progress. It's going to take time. But the radical movement is just growing in leaps and bounds. It's nice. Again, qualifications are becoming an issue. I really need to work on improving literacy. Especially in Benin. I could drop it in other areas, like Outer Houseland. There. Problem is, the aristocrats vehemently oppose schooling. Thankfully, the radical movement... oh no, they don't have it either. Thankfully, the actual radicals are in favor of schooling. And the Westernizers can help me get schools. Good. It's fine. I will begin importing copper soon enough. Once the Trade Center finally has the right idea. There we go. Some military assistance would be nice. Oh, we have a proper labor movement now instead of a socialist movement. Seriously, no movement is in favor of schools specifically. It's annoying. So maybe the... No, not even the communist movement. Yay! I think I'd rather have a radical movement. Yeah, 30%. I mean, there's nothing that the, yeah, everything that the liberal movement is in favor of, the radical movement can do too. Heck, the radical movement is specifically in favor of universal suffrage, which is incredibly powerful if I can actually manage to obtain it. And they're also willing to let me move towards wealth suffrage. But voting rights is one of the easiest way to lower political rigidity. Of course, annoyingly, universal suffrage lowers labor consciousness target, but... I mean, it still increases populist movement's attraction. Labor and peasant movements, yep. Just 5k into atmospheric engine. I'll take it. They'll finish allied working first in order to get that through done more quickly. Ah, come on. Wasn't able to take advantage of it anymore. Something that would be possible. Yeah, the anarchists still haven't initialized yet. I'm not sure what it takes. Perhaps people starting to come in. What will it take? Russia has invested into an alloy plant. I'm not using any alloys yet, though. Maybe later, but not right now. Industrial instruments is a possibility, but... As I said, I can't produce my own copper. Not with the land I have. I mean, I can start trying to colonize a Bangishari, but that's not going to happen. Yet. I mean, it's not like copper is super duper expensive on the global market, right? Yes, it kinda is. Fairly expensive on the world market. People are selling it there. There we go. That should resolve that massive penalty. Finally start producing enough instruments to deal with the entertainment area. I may need to do some actual fine art though. I need romanticism for the Arts Academy. But I do have the atmospheric engine now, so. Start swapping over construction to iron frame. And tooling to wrought iron. Now that iron is more plentiful. Where is my tooling? Is that all the tooling I have? Probably. Yes. Shoot. That's not good. Excellent. More tech progress. Ah, we're down to chronic obstructionism now, aren't we? Which lowers political rigidity, but... Okay, so it's here, legislative power. At the very least, the aristocrats no longer care about religion, so... Oh, that's why the radical movement is now... Okay, if I stop bolstering for a second, their activism will go up. There we go. Go back to bolstering to keep them high. let's see. Cook for no speech interference, but break the movement. The chance of this working is slim. The aristocratic interests hate this as much as they move to supreme legislature. Well, this may work. Barely. So long as the guy doesn't grow up in the time this takes. Random politician has died. No guarantees, no military assistance. You don't even want a power block embassy. Fine. I could use more foreign investment. I can't afford that, sorry. Okay, I can go to industrial instruments now. Actually, no, wait, that's a bad idea. First, I should boost this up, so I can start getting more alloys. And also steel. The thing is, alloys are very expensive at the beginning. Okay, start producing steel tools here. Ooh, rubber. Sadly, I can't actually use that yet. And why not also here? I could definitely use more tools. It's my biggest weakness at the moment. Lack of tools. I need the silver mine to have atmospheric pump, because otherwise I'll be able to produce enough paper. Stop that. Okay, there's plenty of peasants with engineer qualifications. Just don't know why they're not getting hired. Suddenly all the engineers vanished again. Can't cause a good shortage of steel. This wouldn't. There we go, we've got labor organization set up. That doesn't cause the anarchists to appear, I don't know what will. Well, at the very least threat of a general strike is here. There's too many peasants around, and Union Federations has not been researched yet, so... Modern astronomy and water tube boiler. I'm gonna start using market squares everywhere. Yep, rubber plantation set up, and I'm already exporting. It can also be consumed as a luxury item. I was not aware of that being a possibility. This is why it's like early alloy plants. They're always horrendously annoying. And Union Federations is also starting to get researched. Lovely. I guess the old version of the event is in BPM, because the new one makes it so that you can always remove the character no matter what. What did I research? Military tech, probably? Yeah. Why are you building that? Why are you building that? I am, however, in favor of getting arms industries set up. Motor industry, because this location has everything I need for good steel and all that. Start getting the railroad set up, especially in locations with low population. Because after some reworking of employee accounts, it is now ridiculously good for the railways for lowering the amount of laborers in various industries. Buildings, buildings. I have to go all the way to Cairo if I want that copper. Go all the way up to Aromia. East Altaland has already run out of infrastructure. Really? +5 to the ruler is a good thing. Yeah, even if the guy grows up now, he should be able to. Assuming the aristocrats don't strengthen much. Would like to go to Lancers at some point, but not yet. I need Napoleonic warfare. I don't like how everyone's investing into an artillery industry. I'm not gonna use artillery just yet. Alright, well, So you get to breach load into you get to shrapnel artillery. Lancers are pretty much equivalent to mobile artillery. In fact, potentially better. If you don't care about the kill rate. It's less devastation and more occupation, which means that you can win a battle. If you're winning, you can go faster. I'm gonna wait until until the next phase, and then call it for the session. This has gone on for quite a while, probably long enough. Oh, well, they're in Household. I really hope Supreme Legislature could go through, because that's an excellent way to destabilize things. Yes! Now it's voting. All it needs is for it to go through and for the Caliph to accept. Still pretty young, so it's likely that he will still let it go through. It's also the fact that upon enactment, I go to ceremonial caliph, which makes it so that the caliph can no longer do anything about laws. Well, outside of maybe slow things down or speed things up if it matches his interests, but anyway, that's good enough for now, I'd say. The Krakatoa eruption has happened, and things are still pretty bad, but they're improving. Additionally, the socialists have split, though they haven't initialized for me yet, so... There's some oddities. I didn't expect the anarchists to come in. But the old socialists are still around. At 510 people. Yeah. It's funny that I don't even have a agrarian populace. Well, maybe I need a voting law for that, but moving to Supreme Legislature will severely reduce political rigidity. To the point where with the radicals, I might actually have it below 100 for once. Maybe. Maybe? Yes, but not by much. Okay. Hopefully the radical movement that I've been fostering here can keep things going. And let me pass a proper voting law. Not entirely sure what I'll go for though. It might be census suffrage, it might be universal suffrage. Additionally, I've gotten I've given investment rights to Austria-Hungary and the USA. So the economy is starting to explode. Though not many people have constructed anything, it's mainly just military infrastructure and advanced things that I haven't actually produced yet. Those alloys. But yeah, I'm producing entertainment now, so that should be fun. Anyway, I have definitely got a look at it. See you again next time. Till then, bye.